everyone. Welcome. Welcome. Hey. These are so cool. This is back to the 80s. I should say hello, huh? So hold on a second. Get this all lined up. I didn't have it quite. Hello. My name's John Limcool. This is the Plugin Guru live stream. Welcome. Hands together, head bowed to all of you for being here. It's very nice to be here. I was close to not being here this week. I was involved in a car accident on Tuesday. So I'll tell you all about that and why I'm so happy to be here. This video and all of them that you see on the Plugin Guru channel, of course, are sponsored by my website. Oh, here, I got to log out. From pluginguru.com. Hey, look at that. That's my website. Lots of libraries. We've got right here is the newest library is the one from Bob Deddes. This is the Sounds of the 80s and Back to the 80s. It's a library for Vital, both just Vital patches by itself, or what you're hearing here is the Vital plus Unify version. 2 more days at its introductory price, and then it goes to, I think it's $79 for this. It's 15. Retail price is $59 for Vital plus Unify. Yeah, we kept this one a little bit lower since it's a Vital library. Want to make it accessible in a way because, you know, especially when you're making patches for a free synthesizer, it's people get mad if you charge too much. So I think that's really fair for what you have in this library. The Vital plus Unify version has all of these really cool BPM sequence patches. There's 16 of them that Bob composed. There's all these drums, so you can go here to load Unify layer. Let's say we want to take that first crush groove. Actually, let's do Summer Kiss. And what's fun is we can open this up, change any of the groove. Let's see if we can find the right kind of groove. For the knobs. Let's vintage it out. Maybe half time it, so we go to MIDI box and say 1/2, so it's half time. You can add a delay. Let's just use the standard Omega delay for now. Find the right frequency. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Anyway, so this library has got so much to offer. In a little bit, I'll take one of these BPM sequence patches and I show you kind of what I would do if I was going to be writing a song in Logic. We'll actually go into Logic, load this up. I'll show you how I'll set it up. It's similar setup in other DAWs to do similar things like that. Hi, guys. Good to see you all. Welcome. My gosh. There's almost too many to call out everybody, but my gosh. Thank you all for being here. It's good to see you all. Hands together, head bowed. So here, let's do this. So this library is 2 more days on sale. It's got so much to offer. All of the patches, there's really great brass patches. Let's do this. Let's set this to normal. And that's from Vital. So it's not using Vital in the way that you would expect to find Vital being used. All these pads are... It's very different. It's trying to stay true to the 80s. right? Just has a really great vibe to all of these patches. And as you can see, this is using a white noise on the sample layer. Everything else is waveform and synthesis based to create this. It's just really, really inspiring patches. Really cool stuff. The plucks are great, special effects. Right? All sorts of really cool things that are like the samples that you... Right? That kind of stuff. There's even some hits and so forth, stabs, all these different... That's almost 90s in a way. Again, these are in Vital. So you'll have to get them to study how, you know, nice strings. So it's not using Vital to do that kind of stuff, right? It's using Vital in a whole different way to do these really... Get out your major 9 chords. Just play C, E, G, B, D. You know, for all that kind of stuff. So it's a very different way to use Vital that I think is great. These splits are really cool. He gives you the sounds. I don't know the licks for these. I should have learned these licks. That would have been really fun. But I did not forget my pills. Anyway, it's a great library. People are loving it. The reviews have been really, really supportive and positive. All 5 won 4, I believe, as far as the reviews go. So thank you to all of you that have left a review. If you own the library and leave a review, by the way, we send you a promo code for a discount on your next purchase. So please consider leaving a review for this library or any library you use. Once we approve it, you get your little discount code so you can use that to buy something and save some money. So go through and review some of the libraries you own. It helps all of our customers to see reviews on all of the libraries. So I love it. I love seeing reviews, and I thank all of you that do that. So we'll play with this a little bit more in a song use application. Yes, thank you. Man, some of the social media, the guys that can do all the beatbox stuff with their mouths, they can do the ball. I'm not even going to try, but it's really impressive what some people can do just with their mouth. Oh, these guitars, by the way, I should also point out. All these different leads are great. Really top notch. All of the programming in this library is great. This is like the JD kind of sample boxes with all that kind of stuff. Really creative throughout the whole library. So really impressed. We have 2 plugins to look at today. that are new and worth you guys being made aware of by yours truly. I think they are very interesting in both one as an instrument and one as an audio effect. So we're going to play with those and write a song. Let's start though. Let me tell you just a little bit about what happened. I went on Tuesday to the beach. Friends of mine were there. I'm in the process of moving to Idaho, and so it's one of the last times for me to go to the beach. And so I was looking forward to going, doing some photography, hanging out with a friend of mine that's been a friend of mine. His daughter and my daughter are best friends and have been since kindergarten. So he's been a friend for a very long time. And in order to get to this beach, it's in the middle of Oregon. It's outside of Tillamook. It's called Oceanside. It looks like this. So it is a very beautiful place. This is the view from the deck of my friend's house. It's actually a friend of his house, but we've been there like over a dozen times. It's a beautiful place. Well, this happened. This pickup from this sheriff did a U-turn in the highway in front of me at 65 miles an hour. I was passing other cars, and he was in front of me with his left turn signal on, and I thought we were at a passing automobile point. This doesn't show all the damage as much as like maybe this. I was passing cars on the right. We'd been in a slow lane, single lane back and forth, right? Just one lane. We get to the passing lane, and I'm passing the truck, two other cars, and halfway through another truck pass. And up in front of me, I see this silver pickup. I don't see the sheriff information on it, but it's got his left turn signal on. And then a few minutes later, he turns on his brake light, like seconds. This is literally seconds. And next thing I know, from the right passing lane, this sheriff pickup starts to do a U-turn, crossing into my lane and into the oncoming traffic lane while I'm doing 65 passing cars. So I'm stepping on my brakes. My Gran Turismo instincts are going in full effect. I clipped him, as you can see right here. I clipped him. He clipped me right here. Messed up my tire and the whole front of my car. The only damage to his vehicle, by the way, was this scuff on his tire and a little scuff right here on his bumper. That's it, really, compared to what it did to my car. So, you know, typical stuff. But I was driving in oncoming traffic, and thank goodness there were no cars coming the other way, because I would have been absolutely pancaked if there would have been another car coming that way while I'm trying to avoid this guy that's doing this U-turn. I'm trying to go to the left of him, so I'm going into the oncoming traffic lane, right? Stupid, but if I would have ran into him, it would have been just equally as bad, because there's no way I could slow down fast enough from the speeds we were going. And it's just surprising this guy is slowing down and doing this in the highway. Just shocking. So I won't give all the details because it went on from there. I got a rental car, and on the way back, I'll show you this photo. On the way back, get a flat tire. This is Todd and me replacing the flat tire in the rental car because it went flat while we were driving back to Portland. So it's just, but in between the car accident and the drive back with the flat tire, I did get some other really nice moments of photography. So I did some long exposures. I love this one. This one came out really cool. This is at the ocean, but that's about maybe 30 seconds, I believe. So the ocean just becomes, you don't see any detail of any waves when it's that long of an exposure. And so you end up with like clouds. And so it looks almost like you're flying in a way. I really love that effect. There's a tunnel you go through. If you go to Oceanside, in the back right of the beach, there's at the base of this mountain, there's a little hole. It's a tunnel that you can go through to get to where you get these views. You don't see these views. You don't see all these sea stacks if you don't go through the tunnel. And I took a moment and I took a picture of the tunnel and lit it with my iPhone with the sea stacks that you see on the other side. It was a beautiful place. Really, really cool. One of my favorite beaches on the Oregon coast. Anyway, it felt so good to be there after the accident and to like just be okay. I'm not hurt. I didn't have any whiplash or anything. My airbag didn't go off. The car glass didn't break. But if there would have been a car coming the other direction, I would not be here. So thank goodness for angels keeping things going to make it so that I could have this crazy experience and I'm safe, you know? So crazy. It was just a crazy experience overall for just, so anyway, I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here. So on that note, let's keep playing with stuff. So the first thing I want to show you is a new synthesizer from Cherry Audio. Yeah, it's much better than Cannon Beach. It's got more C stacks. It's got really cool vibe. It's a smaller town. It's harder to go for. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I'm here. So here, let's go over here and let's call up Harmonia. Remember, you can right click on the plugin windows and you get instead of clicking here and you just see the normal name of the instrument. If you just click here with a right click, you get the pop-up in Unify 1.10. So I can go, hey, Harmonia. And this is a really lovely, creative, new synthesizer that I'm really impressed with. They've done quite a few emulations of synthesizers. This is one where instead of doing an emulation, let me see if I can maybe make this a little bit, maybe, let's maybe say a little, 100%. Yeah, I can't, I've got a camera over here that blocks it. So let me make it just a little bit smaller. They have the different sizes. And also what's really nice that I really like and appreciate is they have a focus button, which will let the interface basically zoom in to the plugin window at a zoom level so you can see details far better. So this is a synthesizer using additive synthesis in a really creative way to make sounds that don't sound like additive synthesis. It's more like wavetables in a way. You can cycle through the waves. I don't think this is even on. And this one isn't even set to an awesome. And if I want this to cycle, all I'd have to do is go over here to an LFO that's not assigned and say LFO 2. Let's have that go to the center of oscillator 2. So it's really easy to modulate. There's 4 LFOs for the 2 oscillators, a filter with various filter types to work with, envelopes over here. Yep, it's licensed to me, thank goodness. I think there are some effects. It's kind of limited on the effects, but it does have a limiter here. Oh, here we go. We got distortion. There's a modulation effect, which has different chorus phaser, so forth, delay and reverb. So it has everything you need. It's a pretty complete. But it has its own sound. I really like that when it's not like, oh, it's trying to sound like a mini Moog. It's not, it's trying to sound like this, but yeah, I'm looking at my CPU meters here. They're not doing too bad. Here's the CPU meters. And this is version 1. So there's always a possibility if they can optimize things. I just like that it has its own, you can hear it and go, I don't really hear. It's its own unique sound. It's very bold. The reverb, as you can hear, sounds nice. Nice, really nice. So there's lots of patches. They put a lot of work into creating all sorts of patches. They go a lot of times it sounds almost like samples in a way. Right? Really nice, very impressive. So if you want to check this out, go to cherryaudio.com. Here is the Harmonia page. Well, let's get this out of the way. It's available for $49. Its retail is $69. So it is a reasonable, fairly priced, powerful synthesizer with its own unique sound. And that always gets a big 2 thumbs up from Skippy, let me tell you. Anytime you make a synth that's not just trying to sound... I mean, I appreciate clones, but I think the clones have been done pretty well at this point for most part. There's a few places where they could improve them and so forth, but... you know, it's kind of like right now in 2023, superhero movies at the box office are failing while sophisticated 3-hour-long movies about World War II events and other things are thriving. So quality and unique originality is being rewarded in all sorts of our places. You know, I think with AI and stuff, it's making us realize when somebody puts effort to make something creative and original, you kind of can tell, and you want that. You want to grab for that. So. That's crazy. That's huge. Lovely. Right? So it's really unique. I'm very impressed. Whoever made the patches did a nice job. Really. So it's got a free demo version to try out. They did do some nice organ simulations. This is just a percussive pluck kind of vibe. So check that out. Up next, we have an audio effect from Baby Audio. The world kind of, it's been advertised by everybody that does YouTube videos, it seems. They got a hold of everybody to help bring this to life. And it's worth bringing to attention because it's a unique effect in that I predict more of these types of effects are going to be seen in the future. It's a combination effect. So let's take a drum groove. Let's right click here and let's say transit. And this is transit from Baby Audio. And what this is, in a nutshell, is they're fairly simple effects because they picked out 3-4 parameters for each effect. You have all these effects to choose from, though. So you have quite a few, and then you have 7 slots for those effects. And then if you turn on the little dot and you move the arrows, you're now assigning that particular parameter to be changed by this one master, what they call transition control. It's a macro knob in Unify. We can do this in Unify to any effect. So having this as a simple plugin, you know, you have your colors up here to choose from. Oh, that's the quick steps. Yeah. Go in. Thank you. Oh, so we in. Got it. So don't hit the question mark unless you want that. You have dark or you have light color. And what this does is it allows you to have all these parameters changing without you having to go into automate. If you're in a DAW, you know, in Unify, you can do this to a patch and it's piece of cake and really fun. That's one of the reasons to have Unify. But if you don't have Unify and you want to do this for audio effects and have presets that somebody's made for you, this allows you to take something like this. Right? It's changing all these different parameters and all these different effects. And let's say I wanted to add something to this. They have not only effects, but they do have a couple other cool things like an oscillator, which you can let's see. I think I have to. I don't have the effect. Why don't I have the effect on? Maybe there's a certain place you have. I don't have that studied. But anyway, you can do pitch things and noise things. So instead of automating all of these parameters that you see in green and pink, those are all happening by just automating one knob. So it simplifies the whole process of making cool transitions. And they show up for use for the one major transitions before your breakdown, right? But you can also use it for variations of rhythm in a groove. So you can do all sorts of stuff, right? And they have all sorts of, people have made libraries for this already that they include. Right? You can speed up and slow down LFOs and do all sorts of things. Let me see if I can find something that has, I want to find something that has the oscillator in it, because there we go. Maybe I want this volume of the oscillator to get louder. So I just turn this on to turn on motion. And now, it doesn't work. So what's going on? Let's have it do pitch. Turn on and pitch. Let's have it start. Wait, we want to go the other direction. Huh. Maybe there needs to be something happening to make the pitch part happen. It's not doing it for me. But you can do sweepy things and pitchy, glidey things and all that kind of stuff. Right? You might need to adjust the volumes and so forth for different things if something's too loud. So like this distortion might have gotten... Like this drive might be too loud, so set it to max, and then you can grab this. And gain... Yeah. It's really unfortunate. My air conditioner in my room seems to have died. So it's like making warm air instead of cold air. Great. Phaser boy. Right? So it's for transitions and changing parameters in lots of effects all at once. And so highly recommended if you need something like that. Let's see, this is Baby Audio. So babyaudio.com is where you would go. Actually, it's babyodd.io. So they played with the .io for the website. if you go to the plugins, you'll see that they have it here. It's $99 retail. It's actually more expensive than Harmonia, the instrument I showed you earlier, by $10 for an audio effect, but it does some cool things. Baby Audio's effects have always been really good. Their interface is good. They partnered up with Andrew Huang and did some really cool work together to take an idea he had, I believe he brought to them and collaborated to create this. So if you need an effect, there's certain sounds, pads or so forth. If you use this, you're not going to be impressed. It really needs drums, percussive elements, and so forth, where you've got something happening, right? And then when you use, I mean, for example, here, let's go to a pad just to show you an example. Let's say we have do I have any BPM? Let's do this. Let's have it play a whole sequence, right? So you can hear it in a whole sequence. So let's load maybe Invaders. Let's say Transit. Right? So you see how it can be used to do all sorts of cool effect transitions. Right? Right? So it's very powerful to have access to so many effects. Right? For all that kind of effect and so forth. Right. Well, it's designed for transitions, but if you only use it that way, then you're only thinking about it in just a very basic term. It's really cool for, I like to bring up reverb or delay or stuff like that on a track. If you were to, let's see, I don't know if there's a fuzzy dice here so you can have it randomized. I don't know if they have an init. They should have an init. FX at state, erase the chain, random lock, randomize. Oh, they have that other thing that's really cool. So if you have one of these patches that you've created, right? Maybe you like the distortion. So you could go over here to the lock and then turn on the lock for the parameters of the distortion so it won't change those. Now you can go back to turn this off and randomize, and it will randomize. Let's add some more things. Let's say auto pan. So this will give it more stuff to randomize. It will randomize the settings and the effects. Oh, yeah, can I lock my, here's the lock for the whole effect. I didn't see that. They have parameter lock and then they have effects. You can lock the whole effect if you want. And if I do that, I think then, right. So it won't change the effect, but it would still change the parameters unless you use the lock on these parameters, and then it's locked so it won't change. And now you can randomize and everything else will change. In theory, that's what it's supposed to do. Oh, Houston, dude, you did some great work on it. Good work, man. Yeah. How would you do the same thing in Unify? Okay, well, I will show you. Let's do one. Let's take something like this. And we don't need necessarily, he's got like degrade and chow tape model here. Let's say I want to do a distortion. I like to use noise box. And so what you can do is make the preset the way you want it. Whoops, hold on, sorry. Didn't mean to blow your ears. Let's say we want to do like that, and we have a low pass filter. So here's without it. And let's say we also want to have a reverb that's on everything. And I could do this on like an auxiliary chain or something. I'm just making new effects just to show you how we could do this. Let's say, let's use, why don't I see data verb? All effects. Dataverse. So anyway, this could, right? So we have access to all these effects that we've added. So we could go over here. All you have to do now is add macro knobs. Right click on the little tiny dot, or actually I think you can just right click on the whole knob and it will pop up. And now there's a couple ways to do it. Because of the little ear sitting there, I could actually go to noise box and I could set this here. I could hit the little ear and I could say I want to change the mix. And you can actually hear, what the end result will be when you click and drag the value. And you see it changing. And let's also have it take the low pass filter and change this. And I'm going to click the little invert button. I want to start bright. Let's see, like that. And I want the wet dry mix to be at 100%. So I like that effect. I want to invert it. So I'm just going to click both of these so that way it starts normal. Oh, wait. You can determine how you want it to go by just clicking the invert button. And as long as you don't have breakpoints, you're good. Once you start adding breakpoints, it gets a little confused. So don't use the invert unless you have it just going from here to there. Then the reverb. If we wanted to have the reverb, open up the reverb. And let's have it so that, let's see, what are we doing? We're going from no effect, right? Then I hit the ear again and I move the wet dry of reverb. And here you control the curve. And then what I like to do a lot of times is have a high pass filter if you're doing this specifically for transitions. So on top of all this, at the end, go to Unify Standard. Under EQ, we have Filter Max, which is a filter. It's up to a 48 dB filter, and it's low pass, high pass, band, notch, all sorts of stuff. So let's say high pass filter so we can, right? So we hear the effect. You can check it before you use it to make sure it's going to work the way you want. Right click on this knob again. Go over here to your ear and move the low pass or the high pass. Right? So you can assign this to any effect. In fact, let's do this. Let's add an outside effect. Let's go to minimal. Where is it? Polyverse. Let's use something like, is it manipulator? Which is the, supermodal. That's the really cool one that. Let's say we want to use that. So let's start dry, hit the ear, and now move this parameter in here. And I want this to get really bright effect-wise. In fact, let's say I want it to be really strong at the front. This is something you can't do inside of Baby Audio's effect because it can't do multiple breakpoints. But we could have it so that it starts dry. And right here, I want it to be really strong again, so I changed my curve for this part. So, and you could change the effect because this is the wet dry mix. Right? So it's any effect. That's the one unique thing with Unify is that we could do this to any effect, not just a handful of effects with 4 parameters that are kind of basic as far as what you can do. You can do anything you want to as many effects as you want. I could go over here and say on top of all this, I also want to use, let's right click on the plus and say shimmer. I have all sorts of shimmer verbs. Let's use Valhalla's shimmer. And we could have it so that it's doing. And maybe in this case, I'm like, I kind of want this to be an auxiliary. So instead of clang falter, let's right click here and say shimmer and call this up. And I'm going to do the trick. I'm going to hold down Control and Shift and click the little tiny dot. That equals copy the effect settings. It's the same as going down here to operations and saying copy plugin state. I've copied that. So now when I go to Valhalla Shimmer and I hold down the shift button and I click this, it makes the settings now match. And now what I have to do, because I've assigned this, let's see, what's this? So this was effect 1. So we want to bring this down so it's not on anything. And we don't have the ear currently working for Unify's presets. So you just hit the plus button, go to instrument, say for the drums, we want to go auxiliary 1, and also for the bass, or maybe for the pad, or the brass. Let's do the brass. So we'll go over here, we say part 4, auxiliary 1, and then we want these to go to like a strong effect. So we go like this. So now we're changing effects, not only in the master, but also changing the auxiliary sends. I mean, the power of Unify is that any parameter that you see in front of you by anything is available to be messed with. So now we could call this the super knob, super effects, and so no effects. Let's see, this is still ringing out, but it's not there anymore. And then I bring this up. And it keeps a shimmer because it's an auxiliary. So that way the wet dry mix doesn't, if you modulated just this, you know, you bring this up, and then you bring this down, it would go away. But because it's an auxiliary bus, it's allowed to still ring out because it's just a separate effect bus just sitting there. I love that effect. So no effect. You know. So it's very, very powerful. It's Baby Audios is a baby version of what you can do in Unify. You can definitely go much, much farther since you can use all of your effects. Not only that, but the same knob could be changing the filter cutoff of Vital. It could be changing the settings of the MIDI boxes, all from the same knob. If I wanted to, I could go over here and say drums, go to the MIDI effect for MIDI box, and let's go to the speed multiplier. So it starts at 0 and it goes up to 500%. So now when I'm playing, oh wait, I got to keep this at 100% to start because it also goes below 100. Right? So you can do it by percentages, or like if I go over here and say 100%, and then let's do this. Let's make a breakpoint right here, and let's also make this one be 100%. So we only give it the second half to change the drum speed. So doing its normal thing, comes back down, and then here, falls out of time. You know? So you can do all sorts of crazy, far more complex things than you can even in your DAW with one knob inside of Unify. It's pretty insane if you take it to that level. You can go there. It might not look the most beautiful to have so many effects in a chain and so forth, but it does it. You can save it. You can call it back up. You can send it to your friends in New York, etc., etc. So, right? So that is the power of Unify, to take all of your effects, no matter who makes it. When these companies make effects, they can't use all your effects because they haven't figured out how to load everybody else's effects into their effect. I mean, yeah. So, all right, let's play around a little bit more on the front of using Unify to write a song. So I'm going to say goodbye to Unify as a standalone because I've been playing with it in standalone. The advantage to standalone, if you haven't tried it, try it sometime. Number one, you don't have to run a DAW. You don't have to set anything up. You run Unify standalone. All you do is you go Unify, run, and it's there. And if you don't have it set, go to the settings page, to the audio MIDI settings, and make sure that you turn on the checkbox for your MIDI effects, and you choose the output options that you have to work with so that you can hear it. And then you can just go through the libraries. Also, by the way, I just updated as a special present for all of you the Spitfire LABS library. They released a new library recently called Uilleann. They didn't have U, so they came up with U with Uilleann Pipes, which is takes a minute to load. Hello? Hello? So if you need Irish bagpipes, you can now these others are Ascension. So if you use these on different patches or switching, like if we wanted to, check this out. I'll give you a really fun trick. Let's say we want to have this at the top and we want to have the chanter, which is a little bit more normal. Let's load this into a new Unify layer. So we have two versions, right? We have, this is the normal. And then we have these glides. I don't want glides all the time. I want usually the regular, right? So we have the ability to enable and disable, right? So go to your knobs. By the way, I set up, you've got control of the drone volume. Oh wait, if I play layer 1. You can turn down the drone volume. They have distance. Makes it sound farther away. And because I have, well, let's see. In order for that to work, I would need to do this. So I loaded this as a Unify layer. If I want, I could have these knobs control the parameters of both of these effect layers, of both these instrument layers, right? But the key is this Unify needs to say Lab 64. It can't say Unify because it's, when we use our knob command right here that says duplicate links to all layers, it means duplicate all links to all layers of the same name. So if it's Labs, and then this is Unify, this to get to these parameters inside of that Unify layer, right here's Labs. Here you have to go to Unify, and then it's the macro knob assignments. It's not the actual plugin itself. So go over here to the little bullet and say replace with embedded instrument 1. And this works because these patches are a single patch layer. If it's a complex patch with like 6 sounds, then whatever sound you want to be the primary sound that gets kept and everything else is deleted, you would drag up to the layer 1 slot, just by clicking and dragging like that. But if I go over here and I just say replace with embedded 1, it's now Labs. So now see how these knobs all say just instrument 1. This says reverb, drone volume. If I go over here now and I say duplicate links to all layers, drone volume now is for both layers because it found Labs and it found Pump House. So the parameters for Pump House, both layers. The auxiliary effects is going to add for layer 2. Reverb, it's gonna add all the things, but the key is it has to be the same name for the effects. It's not able to do the duplicate all parameters if you're using Unify embedded layers, because that's a unique thing where you have to assign parameters of the instruments in that Unify universe to the macro knobs. Here it's into the plugins itself directly. Okay, so that's step 1. Step 2, I want my mod wheel to change. Well, I want to do this. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to put a filter, say MIDI filter, and let's say block modulation wheel, right? Block only. You have other options for pass only if you want to let, but I'm going to say modulation wheel. And then I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do the same thing. Unify, unity, layer, go over here, say, because this way it doesn't no longer change the volume because they normally have the dynamics change. Am I still doing anything assigned here? Yeah, so it's doing dynamics here still. So turn this up and then get these down. So that way, I just want to make sure, let me see, if I bypass these, it's doing the dynamics. So I'm using these MIDI filters because now I can go here and I'm going to go to, I can use the full range and go to each instrument and say MIDI enable. And then I'm going to hit the +1 to duplicate this layer, +1 for layer 2. Then I'm going to right click in the curve and say load curve preset. And I have these step 1 of 2, 2 of 2, 3 of 2. These are here to help you do things like this. This is going to be step 2 of 2. And the first one is going to be right click, say load curve. I'm going to load step 1 of 2. So this way it automatically makes curves so that now when I am playing the regular one when it's up. And if I want to reverse that, again, I was telling you about how if you try to invert when it's got multiple breakpoints, it kind of gets confused. So instead, let's do this. Let's say I want this one here to be 2 of 2 and this one to be 1 of 2 because I want it to be 1 of 2. Because I want it to be the normal when the mod goes down. They have the distance kind of difference. There, by setting the distance to the same parameter, like far away now. So you can use this 1 of 2, 2 of 2 to switch between layers with any plugin. It's not just to, nice replication of, well, that's not really an accordion, it's a bagpipe. If you need, it's not really a bagpipe, but inside a MegaMagic piano, I recorded a very old pump organ of my mom and dad's. And it sounds a lot like an accordion. And you've got the pump noise and all that kind of stuff. Which sample library? Hey, Insole. I'm good, man. I'm good. Yeah, it's a bagpipe, so. And these parameters are still working in real time with all the layers. So it's really nice to be able to do this. So Uilleann Pipes, in the video description, I have included links to download the new version. This is the turquoise plugin Guru Green Labs. I made it green. It was blue before, I believe. So when you install the library, the labs interface will change colors. In May, we updated this also with the obsolete machines, which is all these really cool from what's his name? Look, Mom, No Computer from YouTube. Really cool guy. I met him at in Germany a number of years ago. Really nice guy. He did those samples. So all the libraries are now up to 612 patches inside of the free unified Spitfire Labs. If you want to get this to work, let me tell you the steps. It's a little bit involved. You have to have the Spitfire application, which you can get by going to spitfireaudio.com, go to the free and the labs page, and then you'll have a labs tab. And they have all of these libraries. Go over here to your settings and make sure that you have your default content path set to a place where you can have room for gigabytes of samples. Because I believe, let me see here. If I go over here, let me see over here. Unify. Well, actually, I want to go to this hard drive. Let's go sample libraries. My Spitfire audio folder is just, it's very pregnant because of how big these libraries. Yeah, 398 gigabytes for all the libraries. Labs is up to 38.41 gigabytes in size, but it's all free samples. It's incredible resource. Wonderful for all sorts of, unique sounds. On top of all the really cool piano pads, there's Philip Glass's piano. There's really nice strings, the short strings. All these synthesizer pads, strings. On top of all of that, we've now done 2 cycles, and we'll do another one maybe in a couple months where we make patches, but all of these Z patches, and then we just got done doing the Y patches, so we'll do X patches next time. Our bonus patches made by you and me. So if we go to authors and I can show you some of the ones I made because I know how to play them a little bit better. But for like the keys, just world-class patches, man. All sorts of stuff. I mean, right? It goes all over the place. The guitars, these guitars, like the Little House on the Prairie is just awesome. This is their dulcimer. What was instrument 1? The cello quartet. We could go to MegaMagic Guitars 3. Let's add like maybe the BLISS guitar on top of this, just for a minute of fun, because I can. BLISS guitar, add this to a new Unify layer. Probably need to take it down an octave. Really, really cool stuff. So if you want to get all of these labs patches, go here. I'll give you the full step, because for some of you guys, you're new to all this stuff. So if we go to spitfireaudio.com, let's see. I want this to not show that. Thank you. You would Spitfire Audio. They've got this whole back to school stuff. If you go labs, go to discover and go to labs. Actually, I don't even think, well, they talk about Uilleann Labs and stuff like that, but go to support and for download and install. And this is how do I install. They'll talk about how to install all the libraries. It'll get you to a link. I believe if you click here, you have to first open the Spitfire app. You can get it here. So click here. Here's the Spitfire Audio app. Okay. So you have to get the app. And then from within the app, once you've got to register at their website, or I think inside of the app you can do that. Then you will have access to getting to the Labs tab, and it will say install next to each of these libraries. And it will take you a long time if you want to install all of them. I have capitalized the letters of each library. So if you want the Mika's Choir, then you'd have to go down here, find the Mika's Choir. Where's Mika's Choir? Oh, it's going to be M. So right here, Mika's Choir, there'll be an install button. Click install. And then after you do that, you can go to the Mika's Choir and, right? And then you will have access, if you install all of them, you'll have access to experimental patches. There's drums. There's really cool, right? All of these really cool stuff, real things. There's pedal guitars. So, and at the end of this list is all the bonus patches where we've combined all of these libraries, all 38 gigabytes. These are drum grooves I made. using the drum library. There's a drum kit you can get from them. There's percussion, so the BPM keys, so you can get all this kind of fun stuff going on. Big City Nomadic. So you can get that working. So this is a really cool resource, and I just updated it with the Uilleann Pipes. So all of these libraries are represented here. If you go to Glass Piano, let's see, where's Glass? Glass Piano. Here's the soft of the piano. There's also the soft piano in here. If you go down to soft, which is S, this is a very famous piano that's been downloaded and probably played more than any other piano. Like chill, lo-fi, it's really nice for that. And I've set up knobs so you can bring in like auxiliary reverb. And then if you turn up auxiliary 1, right? So it's all free. So I highly recommend everybody with Unify pick this up. Also, make sure you get the collective, which is a, let's see, do I have the collective in here? I don't know if I have collective in. I have all the commercial libraries available. 808 Day 23 is also a free library. The collective is a library we did kind of like this of our own. And we'll go back and add more stuff to that probably in 6 months or so. So there's all sorts of free libraries for Unify. Labs is one of those that's kind of unique because it's tied into this free plugin and sample libraries that Spitfire Audio has created. So check those out if you want, okay? Okay, so that hopefully gets you guys understanding Spitfire Audio's labs and how to install it, how to use it in Unify. All you have to do, if you go to the Plugin Guru website, I'm going to hold your hand through the whole process. Here we go. So if we go to the pluginguru.com website, you want to get the library for that. So just go to the Unify button, click that. That goes to the Unify page. And as you scroll down the page, down here in the middle, it starts to list all the unified libraries. I think we're up to over 90 plugins that have been unified. So you can get the patches for all of these plugins. And when you get to Spitfire Audio, there's Labs. And I just updated it, and the link here works. So you just click here, and it will take you to a page where you can download Labs. And you download it to your hard drive, and then you just drag the .guru file over Unify, and you will be up and running with those patches. It's that easy. So the last step in the process, let me do this. Let's say no plugin, turn on Unify. The last step in the process is to go over here to the little plugin, and you can either say scan VST plugins, or you can use the select plugin files to scan, and then go to the VST folder, and you could say labs, and select that and load, and that will add labs VST2. You want it when you come down here in the plugin list. I have like 950 plugins or something like that in here working. If you get down here to labs, right? Where is it? Labs. Is it Spitfire? It might be under Spitfire. So let's go to them. Spit. All right, let's see. Or I could go by manufacturer. That might be faster. RS Spitfire Audio Labs. You want to see VST, okay? You don't want to see VST3 or audio unit. You want the VST version because all of the labs patches, most of the unified libraries, we use the VST version of the plugin. So now, got the bass playing from the library, okay? So that's how you get the library to work inside of Unify. Now, let's do this. Let's go back to the 80s. And we're going to take one of these BPM sequence patches that Bob composed that are real. Now, let me see. My tempo is 85. One nice thing with Unify, if you're using it in a plugin and you want to know what the original tempo was, you can go to the transport page and it will tell you right here the reference BPM. That's the saved tempo in this. Back in the day, I was explaining why to use the standalone version. One of the coolest things is because it will call up and set the tempo per patch to what we saved it as. So if Bob called up Summer Kids or Summer Kiss and it's supposed to be 94, then this will be changed to 94. If I'm in my DAW, it's not. It's changed to whatever tempo my DAW is at. So I have to set this to 94. Now it works, you know? So this has drums, bass, keys, 2 different keys, and pluck. So that'd be a good thing to use. Let's use that to play with. So the first steps to do inside of Logic, go over here. Let's clean this up so it looks a little bit more like what you're used to seeing. All right, so I have one layer of BPM Sequence Summer Kiss. It's got the name of it. If over here, there's 2 options. If you click the little information, make sure that's on. Down here, you've got MIDI out channel. You want to change this first one to channel 1. And then if you go up here to track to other, you can say new track with next MIDI channel. There's also new track with same MIDI channel if you want to duplicate the track over and over to have 2 or 3 tracks for drums. You can do that. But if you say next MIDI channel, which is control and return. So if I hold down control and return, you'll see each one of these is channel 3, 4, 5. So by doing that, I now have to go over here to Unify and they're all set. Stop. Why are you playing? Let's call it back up. We have to go over here and where it says MIDI channel, change these to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this way, I have now taken it out from playing all of those tracks at the same time. I'm only playing the 5th part now because in Logic, I have it set to channel 5. 4. Here's 3. Oh, do I have show MIDI? Why are you, it keeps getting a stuck note. Oh, maybe because MIDI boxes are here? The other thing you might want to suggest is to remove the MIDI boxes from these. So that way you can sequence your own data. There we go. Instead of using the BPM sequence patches, I think I messed it up because I hit play and it was stuck on notes while I'm changing channels. My bass and then the drums. And I think he has on the mod wheel some drums. I'd go over here and I'd say delete that so you can't accidentally move the mod wheel and change your drum volume. And because I took off MIDI box, it's now a drum kit. So I could use these drums or I could open Guru Sampler and choose from another drum kit. Tuning. So now it's just a matter of writing whatever I want. So I could make my clicks off, so turn it on. Right, so quantize that. It's gonna mess up my, bring it back to measure 1. Now the drums are messed up, right? Because it quantized in the 16th notes. One cool thing with Logic, you can select things and then go over here to quantize and change just those notes to be quantized differently than the rest of the groove. You can even change the strength of quantize just for the selected MIDI events. So it's really, there's nothing compared to Logic when it comes to MIDI event editing that I have found where I can do really simple things like take certain notes. Say I want the snares and I want them to be quantized only to like 70%. And I want the hi-hats to be quantized to a whole different groove values, swing thing. And you can make your own MIDI files. I'd say 16th notes, swing A. So it's just a little bit of a feel. So you have control. Oh, that's a little bit too loose. So let's say 16th notes. And if the velocity is not right, you have control over all that stuff. So we got a drum groove. We can go to the bass. Let's play something fun. And 2, 3. No, we won't get quite that dark with it, but you see what you can do, right? I mean, 2. And for some reason in Logic, because of the way that my Apple Studio computer works, if I open up an interface of Unify and just have it on the other monitor, all the crackling audio and my CPU looking like it's going to freak out go away. So you can play whatever you for your song. That's all you have to do. The key is to find out in your DAW of choice how to get it so that you have multiple instances of the same plugin set to different MIDI out channels. And inside of Logic, it's pretty easy because whenever you say new instrument, let's go over here and say new software instrument. All you have to do is go over here where it says out of all and just say 1 and then go control and return. Boom, 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 boom. And you're adding additional tracks of that MIDI channel, advancing one step for each one. So it's pretty straightforward for that part of it, stuff like that. So how do you run an ASIO interface in your virtual server? I don't. Jazz, you must be talking to someone else. Oh, you're talking to Daniela. She's going on. Can you make a list of programs for a... Yeah, Danielle is doing unique things that I'm not sure I recommend other people try unless you know what you're doing. I'm not sure how reliable it works and stuff like that. But yeah. And if you want to change patches, all you have to do is, this is part 4. So double click this vital. Go over here to the library. I could go to the guitars. Let's say we want to say... I'm going to click name because it's not showing me them all in the right order. And let's say I wanted to use like some sort of a, I'm going to use some sort of there we go. So let's add some guitar to this so we can go, oh wait. I closed Unify, and I've learned don't close Unify. Apple did this thing where they have 2 types of processors inside of their computers now. They have these optimized slower cores, and then they have these performance cores. And there's issues with Juice with it sharing the slower cores, which isn't ideal, and it causes problems with plugins, especially multi-processor plugins like ours, where it's going out and reaching out to these threads and expecting them to all run the same rate. But for some reason, opening this window of Unify up and just having it off screen or down here on your screen makes it work better. So you no longer have any audio CPU issues if that's if you're, maybe you don't have that problem. I do, you know. Now I just needed some guy with a nice tenor English accent to sing along with this, and off you go. All right, so that is how you get multi-channel of Unify working, starting with any one of these BPM sequence patches. And what's fun, it doesn't always work this way. Let's see if I go to Unify. Now Unify is down here already open. So if you wanted to, you could call up different patches and let's say invaders just for, this is an experiment. It could go terribly, terribly wrong. If you change these to be 1, 2, 3, 4, because there's 6 channels instead of 5, right? So we're off by 1. 5, 6, and then hold down Option and click the MIDI boxes to delete them. If you hold down Option and click any bullet, it will delete that effect quickly instead of you having to like click here and go to Operations and remove plugin. Instead of doing that, you can just hold down Option. Well, let's see what this sequence sounds like. So he had the bass on 3. So let's change the bass to 2 and let's change this to 3. He had them backwards. So let's try that again. So you can play around, open up this bass, say, no, that's not the right bass. So go over here to the MC, back to the 80s. Play it and change the bass. If you do something like this, typically what I have to do is I replay the parts. So you play a part that matches the sound, you know, so. Like for this, I would delete the bass and. Right? Play something that matches the sound and so forth to, you know, how it's going to be. If it doesn't work with what's there, you know, that's where music lessons and music theory and writing lots of music helps, right? Okay, any questions? Thank you, Jazz. Yeah, Danielle, she tends to, I'm not even going to go there. Daniela, I'm happy you're doing that stuff. It's not helpful to anybody else. UB40, yeah, I was doing a little UB40 and kind of like, that's kind of like Johnny Hates Jazz and, oh my gosh, all of those bands from the 80s. Proper 80s. Right. Any questions? We got a few minutes before we go. You know, I can hear you. My room's like 85 degrees in here. It's pretty funny. Western reggae. Yeah, Western reggae 80s style. Red wine, one more time. And I can't sing, so don't even go there. Even with auto-tune, it's not worth a subscription to Antares. I've tried. So all right. Well, if we're going to wrap, if you have a question, post it. We will deal with that. But if not, let's do our shout outs. What are we working on for the coming months? Ooh, I'll tell you next week. We'll work on the next library. We'll work on the next library a little bit next week. Okay. Yes, you can use this like Uilleann or Contact or anything. Each layer in Unify can be on its own MIDI channel, which is really powerful. If you go through here, let's say we go to, you guys are going to start doing your shout outs. Milwaukee in the house. Oh, I've got this memory. There's this weird memory thing that happens in life. I'll tell you, once you start using Unify and Standalone, you just don't want to use it in a DAW because it's so much more easier to, it's doing this really weird. So let's do this. If I go down here and I say a BPM bass, this is showing me all 14,000 patches in the library from all the different things that are here. So here's a patch, right? Then if you go through here and let's say we find a couple other things we want to use. Let's say keys. And it's not going to let me even do this. So change our load. Oh, I can't do any. Oh, I'm sorry. But yes, change all these to MIDI channel 1. See how there's a memory thing that, well, I'll show this to Shane because it shouldn't be doing this. After using it for a while, it kind of freaks out. Can you sequence in Standalone? Not technically sequencing without using, well, you can. We'll be doing that next week, actually. But you use Blue ARP or you'd use some other MIDI effect to be the sequencer driving the layers. When you click right here, which I don't think it's going to let me. Oh, it is going to let me. You could use Blue ARP. And this would allow you to sequence by creating an arpeggiator pattern, which is what we're going to be doing next week. We're going to play with Blue ARP and what's coming for the next library. It's really kind of fun. Or you could use a MIDI effect outside of ours by some of the other companies that do all sorts of really cool. There's a new one that's really got a lot of. Is it Septic? Stepic is really, really powerful for. No, not right now. Is really cool for making sequence patterns and so forth, but more like in a step sequencer way. I haven't seen very many MIDI effects that are like a sequencer yet. It's a bit of work to create those, but yes, you can just in Standalone with the MIDI effect tools that are inside of Unify do that. It's very fun. In fact, here, let me take Unify out of commission here in. If we go over here, I have this. I'm not too happy with my Apple Studio computer. It's okay, but man, don't get me started. Let's say that we load MegaMagic Guitars Volume 3 for a guitar part. Let's say like a BPM guitar. So we load one of these that are here. Let's say Blissful Fairies. Now, what I like to do is right click and say load into a new Unify layer. And then just hold down Option and get rid of all of these that were there because you don't need those. This way, it's just a single Unify layer. Right? So that's on MIDI channel 1. If I wanted to go to some other library, let's go to back to the 80s. Up here, back to the 80s to a pluck, right click. Or just change your load mode to Unify layer and say pluck. And then we could go over here to Unify standard to MIDI box. Go down here to the standard library. And there's all sorts of really fun MIDI effect patches. The BBC Discover Station. These are made for chords and stuff, for strings, which would work for plucks. Excuse me. So if we set spiccato pattern. Take it down an octave, hold down Option and click the transpose to just go down 12 semitones. And let's go to Spitfire Audio Labs, and let's go to like the soft piano. Let's say soft piano, right click. Well, I got Unify layer set, so I could just click on it. Then I could go over here and I could go to Unify standard, arpeggios, blue arp, and just use the little arrows here and just push it a whole bunch of times, just to randomly choose. Maybe take it up an octave higher. And let's maybe put some reverb on it. So we'll go reverb. Maybe we'll go, let's go like hall reverb. Now, if you were talking sequencing, like going over here and hitting play and having it play a song, that's a whole different thing. That would require MIDI files, stuff like that to be created somewhere else. Unify Standalone is more for like MIDI files being used on the keyboard. So now you just play a chord, say a major chord, right? Play an F major chord. So it's not sequencing in the way that you can in a DAW. Because in a DAW, you've got these tracks that you've created of sequence data, and you hit play and it plays it back. I have dreams of an updated Super Unify at some point in the future, but that's a long ways out because of the amount of work it would take. Shane would have to basically build a DAW, you know, for the sequencing side of things, which is a lot of work. It's a huge amount of work. So shout out from Wales. Well, the fun thing with this that I think is better than anything is you can do these things that you interact with. You know, you're interacting with these things that you create. And that's, to me, far more powerful than a DAW that's just replaying something you played in and it plays it back perfectly every time. Here you go to the BPM patches inside of, you know, these types of things. You call it Toy Box Labroratory, and it's interacting based on what you play on the keys. If I play up here, it's up here. If I play down here, you can't do that in Logic by hitting play. It just can't. This is real time, right? Cool. Yeah, good stuff. Acid V. I haven't gotten that one yet. I've been talking to the. If Arturi gets it to me, I'll show it to you guys. So yeah, there's lots of fun stuff to play with. Colorado's in the house. It's good to see all of you. I am so happy to be here. For those of you who missed the first half, I was in a car accident on Wednesday on a mountain road on my way to the ocean. My car's in a shop getting repaired. It was not drivable. And so I am just glad to be alive and thankful that I had angels around the car that guided it off the road before oncoming traffic hit me or anything like that. So, yeah. So I'm good. I'm okay. My car is a bit of a mess. I'm using a rental car, all that kind of stuff, but I'm here and thankful for life, and maybe it's the good karma of everything I give to you guys protecting me. Maybe it's God protecting me. It's just I'm thankful that I am here. So how can I record this in Standalone? We don't really have, well, you'd call this up inside of your DAW. And then sequence in your DAW, you playing this into your DAW. So then it will play back you playing, right? Then it will play back in your DAW with you doing this. We're working on some stuff I can't tell you much about, but I'm really excited for hopefully later this year, some really cool stuff, but mum's the word for now. Yeah, Yeah, well, if you wanted to make this even more, let's see if I go over here and say voice. There's all these choirs and stuff. So let's go low to layer, unify layer. If we had like some sustained ahs. Oh, no. No. Voice. Let's see something else. One thing that I also love is if you load as a unified layer, you can open up this Unify and go, this doesn't sound right. No, that's not what I want. Let's try the choir. Because I went to the unified layer, I can change the patch now. Still not good. Let's see, Atmos, Steel. Oh, I lost choir. C, Gaelic voices. Let's take it down an octave and let's like drench it in some nice reverb. Very Enya. Yeah, so, and if you want, you could set this to Unify layer and even add more of these patches, choral flutes. Does Back to the 80s. So Back to the 80s is a library for Unify. So you would have Unify first, or you could get the Vital version, which is just patches for the Vital plugin. Save it. Or you guys want this? Okay. Let's call it Enya's Labroratory. I'll give it to you guys right now as a free bonus. Enya's Labroratory. Save as, let's see, made during the September 2nd live stream. Thank you for saying save it. I was almost going to delete this. So, and we'll save. Yeah, actually, let's do this. Let's make this. This is our first X patch. If you guys want to start making patches for the X bank, save as save. It will be a while till we like formally get into it. So you got lots of time, but start making patches and put an X at the front of the name. Let's compress this. Let me get to my Dropbox. I will give you a link in 10 seconds or so. So let's go Unify library. Let's see. This is a Plugin Guru freebie. So it goes here. Labs. My gosh, it is so hot in here. Spit Labs. So go X Labs, Enya's Labroratory. This is now this. Let's see. So copy the link. I'll put the link both in the video description and I'll put it into our chat. There you go. I'll put it into let's see. Now it'll be at the bottom of the list on the video description. Spitfire Labs. Bonus first X patch. Enya's Labroratory. Labroratory. And the link. Save. Yeah, so there we go. Now, in order to get this to work, you'll have to have Unify installed. You need to have, this is using the Gaelic voices, the trumpet fields, the textural pads. What library is this from? Tundra Atmos. You'll need to have all of these libraries installed from Labs so that these samples are available for this patch to work. And I think it gets even more complex than that because this is one of those where I'm doing a wave sequencing trick. This is all DX. So it's nothing to do with Labs. And then you can control the volume of the voices by just turning them down here. It's just one volume for all the voices. Now, any patch in the Labs library, right-click, say Reveal in Finder, and that will show you all 614 patches. And then this new patch that we just created, you just drag it into here, and then go here to the little lightning bolt and click that to say Refresh. It will refresh the library, and X BPM pad Enya's library JL will show up. Okay. If you don't click the lightning bolt, it won't show up. You got to refresh the library database. Okay. Yeah. There you go. So it's kind of like Chord Karma. Yeah. We're not able to do, I made patches for Chord Karma. That a lot of the grooves in there are from yours truly. I made those. So Karma has the ability to use scales, a smart scale transpose. So if you're playing minor or major, it can change. Here, I can't do that. So instead, we do a lot of stuff where it's a single note and then it just plays that note based on what notes you play in your chord. So if I play a really weird chord, or if I play another weird chord, it's not having to do the transposition stuff of, say, Chord Karma and stuff like that. So So it doesn't do that stuff. That's why we use MIDI box and the ability for it to just play whatever you play. So when you play something major, minor, it transposes properly to play what you want. Right? But it is very similar to Karma in some respects because you could, if you take the time, I mean, it would take us literally months to do one Karma patch because making a GE, which had 4 different GEs playing 4 different parts for the drums, the bass, guitar, and something else, and then having the variations and having all of that, it would take forever and ever and ever to make those. So if you took that kind of time and you put it into making different MIDI files, because MIDI box, you can have multiple MIDI files. If you go to something like our drum grooves and stuff like that, and back to the 80s, for example, if you go up here to the BPM drum and it says 8, hold on, let me say normal and 8. If you go to the macro knobs, once it refreshes and loads, we have a groove number here, which is actually changing between different patterns. Right? And I have examples in some of the libraries where I've done things where you can have all sorts of different variations to basses and chords and everything on a knob that it's cycling through and changing. You know, it's really, really powerful stuff if you spend the time working on it. Some of the chill guitar phrases and chili pop phrases, some of these, when you get to these BPM splits and stuff, they get to do some really, really fun things where you can say 100 beats per minute jam. Was this? You know, we have it so that it's showing you the chords and you can change the phrase groove. And it's playing samples and cycling through them and showing you the chord progression. If I want a different drum groove, So yeah, we get into some of that karma-esque territory with some of these things that you can do with some of the libraries. This is using phrases that I've set up to be at different tempos. So it's the same phrases at 75 beats per minute, at 120 beats per minute. They're actually samples because we don't have the ability to stretch samples in real time. But still, you can use this. Then you can go to another library, go to the guitars, volume 3, these BPM drum. These grooves are so cool. So we say, load this in a new Unify layer. It's all locked at tempo because I made sure that the sequences for the chilled libraries, there's 2 libraries that have these phrase samples. There's guitar phrases. So let's see, I'm at 100 beats per minute. I got to leave here in a minute, but just to see over here. If I go over here to the 120, here's 120. So if I load this is going to be a mess, I think. So you have guitar phrases as one library. That's these guys. And every key on the keyboard are phrases for you to use for a song. What synths are included in Unify? The synths included in Unify are pretty much the same as they've always been. You've got Guru Sampler, OBXD. Guru Sampler is very powerful. Maybe we'll do, like next week, maybe that'll be a question that I'll explore deeper. But digits, the 2 MDA synths, Unify, Morgan is our organ synth, you know, all that kind of stuff. And then we have a few other things for combo box, for layering things and so forth. Yeah. Okay, I got to go. But thank you all for joining and hanging. And don't forget, 2 more days left on the Back to the 80s library we've been playing with on and off through the whole live stream. Let's see, here it is. Back to the 80s. PlugInGuru.com. You can find it. 25% off until tomorrow night. Okay? So thank you, everybody. We will see you all soon. Keep rocking. Keep being creative. And we'll see you. Okay? So thank you, everybody.